Max Verstappen has made a revelation that's shaking up the entire Formula One world. Was McLaren's 2024 season successful solely because of speed, or was there more going on behind the scenes? In a year where performances left everyone stunned, Verstappen is calling for an investigation into the secrets behind McLaren's success. Are there really illegal moves at play, or is it just the result of an incredible car design? The flexing rear wings, questionable designs, and countless secrets yet to be uncovered, this season has brought up a new question at every turn. So, did McLaren actually break the rules, or is it all just a brilliant strategy? Stick with us as we uncover these allegations, explore the hidden truths of the season, and dive into the future of Formula One. The 2024 season was filled with technical controversies as teams traded accusations. Max Verstappen has made a bold claim, hinting that Red Bull's competitors enjoyed an unfair edge at certain points throughout the 2024 season, which added to the team's struggles. According to him, there were some shady dealings that the public and media would never get to know about. "I know for sure that some races were a lost cause because of things that happened off the track. But no one's ever going to admit that," he said. Now, when you think of cheating in 2024, McLaren's rear wing definitely comes to mind. It was banned after Baku for flexing too much when it hit high speeds. Verstappen wasn't shy about calling it out, but what's interesting is how he still manages to be respectful in interviews. He may not name names, but it's obvious he's frustrated with how other teams developed their cars during the season. McLaren, though, stood their ground and defended their rear wing design, even as other teams like Perez and Lando Norris insisted their cars didn't have any mini DRS tricks to fight off the competition. Oscar Piastri also had his back, stressing that their car passed all the deflection tests. Still, it was his car that raised the most eyebrows in Baku. The way he managed to hold off Charles Leclerc's SF24 for so long? People were talking, thinking that mini DRS was in play. But the Red Bull drama goes back even further. The Austrian team had a rough start to the season. Their brand new design was supposed to set them apart, but it didn't exactly deliver as expected, and that clearly set the stage for a battle that would play out throughout the year. Red Bull hit their first big snag in Miami, and things haven't been the same since. The moment Ney announced his exit, the car started to hit its limits, quickly losing ground to McLaren and then Ferrari. We were all hyped for an epic battle in the Drivers' Championship, especially with the McL38 showing serious potential. McLaren even shocked themselves with how competitive they were, especially at tracks like Imola. After what looked like another season of domination by Ven, who won 4 of the first 5 races, no one expected the storm that hit them. What stands out, though, is how McLaren kept pushing upgrades throughout the season without running into major problems. Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari all struggled with their upgrades, seeing their cars act up in ways they didn't expect. Verstappen himself admitted it, saying he saw some graphs that were completely new to him. The car's behavior in slow-speed corners was all off, and he couldn't ignore it. The 4-time world champ went on to explain that all the plans for new parts after China basically got thrown out the window. The team had to start fresh. Before China, we couldn't pinpoint the problem, but when we looked at the data, I noticed things were different. Aerodynamic shifts, corner entries, ride heights. It was clear that something wasn't right. The engineers knew exactly what changed compared to last year's car, and at the start of last season, we were still winning races easily. But the car didn't feel the same anymore. These issues weren't a problem for McLaren. The team's rise began in 2023, and to say their progress is something to ignore or that it's illegal is just wrong. Rebuilding their entire squad and bringing in top talent like Rob Marshall from Red Bull, that's some serious work, and anyone trying to argue against that progress will have a tough time defending it. It wasn't just the rear wing of the McL38 that got the F1 world talking. The front wing raised some eyebrows too. When the 2024 season kicked off, McLaren and Mercedes brought a bold concept for their front wing, with a flex that caught everyone's attention. Cameras showed just how much this part of the car bent and moved during slow-speed corners. Red Bull saw this and immediately asked the FIA for some clarity on whether this was something they could do too. The governing body took its sweet time looking into it. They said nothing is illegal at the moment, but they also mentioned that more tests and possibly restrictions are coming. The FIA engineers just didn't have enough time or data to decide if that front wing flex was against the rules. It's a tricky situation, especially since the rulebook is supposed to be static unless something new is added or removed by the FIA. On paper, it might seem like an easy task to read the rules, check the car, and see if it fits, but based on how long the FIA took to make a call, it clearly isn't that simple. And once again, it all came down to Verstappen. His ability to get the most out of the car, even when it seemed at its worst, is what kept Red Bull on top. Many thought the championship was slipping away during Red Bull's rough patch, particularly after Monza, but Verstappen proved everyone wrong. The whispers of McLaren's illegal car winning races by huge margins at high downforce tracks like Singapore and Zandvoort. That seemed to be less of an issue than Verstappen's relentless drive to win. Max himself said that if the 2025 season started with the current cars and no changes were made, he wouldn't be able to win again purely on merit. He's been clear about it. If we continue like this, I won't be champion next year. Simple as that. We have to make changes to stay competitive. We all know that. I trust the team to fix the balance issues from last season, and things we couldn't change last year will be sorted for next season. That's the reality. Red Bull needs to make some serious improvements to stay at the top, and Verstappen knows it. We know the car has to be better over the curbs, bumps, and in the slow corners. Those are the areas where we struggle. If we get beaten, it's going to be down to pure speed. Max doesn't back down, constantly pushing himself to the limit. He doesn't take things lightly, especially after seeing the car barely steerable at times. Now, the FIA has its work cut out for the future. Plenty of loopholes popped up in the 2024 regulations, but the governing body isn't planning to do anything about them until 2025. It's strange, but it's clear McLaren has a lot to prove in the coming season. Not just because they've got one of the most competitive driver lineups, but because they've made huge strides in improving their car. Norris is now in a position where he could actually challenge for the title. That's the kind of progress that'll make or break McLaren next year. So, was McLaren's 2024 success purely down to brilliance, or were there some hidden tactics at play that we still don't know about? With their car design, the flexing front and rear wings, and those race-winning performances, it raises some serious questions. Is McLaren pushing the limits, or bending the rules just enough to gain an edge? The FIA is already planning changes for 2025, but what impact will those changes have on the future of the sport? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates.